Dikis, Chair of the ALCTS Continuing Education Committee, and will be your host for this afternoon's webinar. Our presenter today is Sherab Chen, Associate Professor and Cataloging Coordinator at The Ohio State University Libraries. He manages non-Roman script cataloging and e-resources cataloging. Today he will present information on managing the cataloging activities for the types of e-resources acquired in a typical academic or research library. A few things to keep in mind for today's presentation. Today's webinar does not have interactive chat capabilities. You can comment on today's presentation using Twitter, using the hashtag you see on the screen. We will not monitor the Twitter feed, so if you have questions for Sherab, please type them into the question box on your screen, and Sherab will answer them as time permits at the end of his presentation. So we really welcome those questions, so type them in throughout the session. If Sherab doesn't get to all the questions at the end, we'll save those and he'll answer them offline, and we'll send those to all attendees. This webinar is being recorded, and you'll receive an email with links to the recording, the presentation slides, and an evaluation within 2 days. So please take time to fill out that evaluation form, since it will be used by the committee to plan future events. There will be a slight delay as I turn this presentation over to Sherab.
Hello everyone. Can all you see my screen now? I hope so. Okay, if I don't get any response from our tech support, I assume I'm ready to go. Good. All right. Today's topic is managing e-content cataloging, and the focus of our is how to quickly gain control in managing multiple e-resource cataloging activities with limited staffing and resources. And we will cover understanding the new responsibility, motivating your team, strategy for managing multiple tasks, and tools to keep things under control, and assessment. We are not going to go details on e-resource cataloging or loading, such as talking about the different usage of 856 or 956 URL fields, or how to use MarcEdit for batch loading. We may be able to do that in a separate seminar, but we will talk about how to effectively handle the different requirements, and special attention need to be paid related to this complexity of e-resource cataloging. All right. Here I'm quoting some lines from the report from our director of library. To move from print to online full text is ongoing in the library serial holdings. Carol, our director of the university libraries, said in her strategic plan 2011 to 16, the demand for increased digital access to information sources is driving our collection development policy aggressively in this direction. In 2011 to 2012, the university libraries held more than 7 million volumes, including more than 100,000 digital journal titles and more than 467,000 e-books. The budget increase for e-resource at OSU is obvious. E-journals budget increased from 60.5% to 90.7%, almost 100% increase of the serial budget. And e-books budget is increased from 10% to 30% of the entire monograph budget. The ultimate drive is, of course, our library users. The goal of all of our effort is to satisfy library patron need, which is finding online full text anywhere and anytime without the need to come over to the library stacks. Scholarly research behavior and publishing patterns as well all change and demand more for online access to information. And e-resource cataloging directly support the library subject specialists, collection managers, and all area study librarians to provide selected internet resources to library patrons. However, in a large research library, the acquisition department will have a team for handling, will normally have a team for handling e-resource ordering, claiming, receipt, licensing, and more. So they are the colleagues we have day-to-day close work relation in terms of e-resource cataloging. And the specialty of e-resource cataloging also involves the library IT department. And I know in some libraries, the responsibilities such as batch loading are actually conducted by IT personnel alone, and catalogers are only called for problem solving if any bibliographic record is wrong. So in any case, IT personnel in your library is our support, and we need them when we need troubleshooting the system issues. For example, here at Ohio State University Library, we just upgraded from Millennium to Sierra, our integrated library system, and quite a few issues came up and were fixed, all related to e-resource cataloging. All right, now let's talk about the nature of the work. There are mainly two types of works for e-resource cataloging today, namely cataloging and batch loading. And here at the Ohio State University Libraries, we also start another special type of work, making records for others to share. And I'm going to talk one by one of these things. So what is cataloging? Cataloging is the traditional type of work we're all familiar. That is to catalog individual titles of e-resources one at a time. There will be collaborative, that is to say OCLC, and consortia work involved. And what is batch loading? Batch loading is to load many records once at a time to the library's catalog. May or may not involve collaborative or consortia cataloging works. And the third type, or a new type, is to making records to share. This is to create a file of marked records for other libraries to load. Mostly right now it is kind of a consortia service. The complexity. The uniqueness of cataloging e-resource is that you are always handling multiple different projects, and each project will require some special and different attention and treatment. For instance, what is the mode of access? Is this a paid, subscribed, or free access? Is our cataloging record providing a restricted access to users who logged in our university library network, or we are describing AE resources provided free on the internet? And also what the entity is. Is this a web journal or an ebook? These are all going to affect the cataloging, actual cataloging works. And also, we also have to consider the ranging and who provide the e-resources. Is it the publisher or vendor or consortia? And here I'd like to just share some kind of what I call conundrum. The question is probably as a response to the complexity of e-resource cataloging and the thing we provide. We cataloging librarians are trying best to make a lot of local practice like this and trying to make sense to ourselves, if not at all, I think, affect our user. So the question is why, I always ask myself, why do we need a location code for something exists nowhere but on the web, right? So here in Ohio State University Library catalog, we use this code for e-resources. WWJ means web e-journals. WWS means web databases journal, that is to say, full text from academic search completion, for example. And WWB makes sense, ebooks. WWW, World Wide Web Access, what's that? That's just the normal databases. But what about a collection of PDF files of maps online? And what about an issue of a journal made into ebook? I had a ebook cataloger and passed me some work, said, oh, I cannot do it because these are not ebooks, these are journals. And I took a look, it's just an issue of a journal made into ebook. So you see this, what I call conundrum. But let's back to the three basic type of work. The first type of work is to catalog e-resources. Here at Ohio State University, we handle like a paid web journals or databases. We also handle bike files, including Oxford, Wiley, and Elsevier. And these are old issues of a journal previously only available in print format, and now this kind of company or vendor made them into digital form, and they package them and sell you. And when you purchase them, you get a unique URL for your institute to access to it. And most of them, you have to catalog them one by one. And also, we also do free e-resource requests. What is this? This is our request from the subject specialists or area study librarians who discover some these things useful and good e-resources provided free online, and they want us to include them on our catalog so user can find them and use them. And some ebooks and some also require individual cataloging. Now, batch loading. The second type of work is batch loading MARC records. And here again at Ohio State University, the largest amount of e-serial loading is our monthly serial solutions loading. Each month we receive serial solution files consist of 3 packages: new, changed, or updated, and deleted files. And number of records in this file varies. In average, sometimes 2,000, sometimes 5,000, sometimes more. And most of the ebooks are also loaded now instead of individually cataloged. These include YVP library and other vendor products such as NBC Learn Higher Education Initial Set. For example, in March 20, we just loaded 14,732 records of streaming web videos. We also in May, we also loaded something called Editorial Italiana online, 629 records. We loaded a Project Muse, 570 records, and these are all the ebooks. And sometimes we also get requests from subject specialists. An example is the geology librarian requests us because she discovered a rich treasure on the U.S. Department of Energy Office of Science and Technical Information, called DOE-OSTI, and they have made, interestingly, they made MARC records pointing to a PDF file of those kind of Gov docs for this geographical thing. And there are a package, you can download them for free and load it to your library's catalog. So far we have been loading 14,000 records to our catalog. So these are all the things, batch loading being done here at Ohio State. The third type of work is kind of service for the Ohio Link, our consortia. So there are actually two works we need to do. First, we need to catalog the EJC, or Electronic Journal Center, new available e-journal titles. Then, monthly we create a package of MARC format files using MARC edit and whatever, make it workable for all other institute. We remove all the local thing and make it universally available, and then we will send to other Ohio Link Institute for them to load to their catalog. And here I will try to open a browser. So here is a procedure. I hope everything can see this pop-up window. This is a EJC cataloging procedure I created on our wiki. And this is a special procedure for how to compose or making a MARC file to send to Ohio Link or your consortia. Let me communicate with our all right, sorry for that delay. I'm going to go back to my slides. All right. Oops. Here we go. Okay. Here's something I want to talk about, the what I call the psyche of a e-resource cataloging manager. You will certainly, when you take up this new responsibility, you will, good, I got this, thank you. You will be working with material that you are not familiar with, so we need adaptivity. And sometimes you will be taking projects without clear direction, so we need to find a workable solution. You will never be alone, so you enjoy working with people, as I said. And when problem comes up and nobody around can help, okay, wait for another day. It is not the end of the world. So let me share a real-life story here. Once I was loading more than 5,000 serial solution records. At that time, we were still using Millennium, and they're just, because the number exceeded the limit, you can only load it 5,000 a time. So you have to do it in 2 loads. So there's something just happened, the system just hiccuped, and I was just stuck in there. And it was kind of late in the afternoon because I was trying to avoid a peak time of using the databases, so I was start loading at 4, and it's almost at 6. And I know for sure all the files are intact, and the system just don't respond. And I was very nervous, and it was kind of late, and I'm alone. And I don't think all the IT people, they'll go home. So okay, I said, okay, I think the file is fine, and I haven't loaded anything. I just simply shut down the computer and come back next day early morning. And for some reason, it worked. So okay, may not be the lucky every time, but at least you need to know that you have some kind of confidence and also some kind of attitude. You just have to deal with it. And certainly it's not the end of the world. Okay. And the last, and don't forget to get your supervisor support. All right, now, team. You will have, luckily, if you have a team, and some staff working for you, then you certainly need to motivate your team. And first thing, you need to know the strengths of the staff. Here we have a full-time staff, part-time staff, and sometimes we have student workers if we have a large project we need help. And there are always experienced, and they're always new. And some are really experienced, they're more experienced than you do. For example, I have a full-time staff who's been working on ebook cataloging and loading for a long time, and he's really experienced, so I learned a lot from him. And sometimes you have to involve staff in a different report line who don't report to you, but you just need them to come to your task force. Okay, is there something called low morale scale? I don't think so. I think we just need to give clear expectation to our staff and setting priorities, and we also need to overcome the I don't do such thing attitude. What is that? I talked about this in last ARA midwinter about this kind of attitude. Because traditionally our library staff are been doing same thing all over their life. So for example, people catalog a monograph, they say, oh, I don't do serial. And 2 people do ebook, they don't say, I don't do serial. And if they do print, I don't do non-print, things like that. You just let your team know, okay, this time is over. Now you're on my turn, you're on my team. We need to do whatever we have to do. So just let them to overcome this I don't do thing. Of course, we will talk about provide guidelines, trainings, all those things. But there's some stuff, if they say that I don't do something, you just say, come on, we have to do it. If you don't do it, I have to do it. Okay, someone has to do it. Of course, we need to provide understanding and appreciation. So here, if we finish a large e-resource project, we sometimes just do a very short lunch party and to celebrate. So how to manage the work? So we will provide training and staff-to-staff core training, because I'm alone, I cannot do all the things, so I don't pair experience with new. So let them learn each other, and you sometimes also learn from them. And also, we need to provide clear and accessible guidelines, and we will talk about how to do this when we talk about using tools. We need to know the strengths of our staff and delegate the work accordingly. And always we need to make backup in case of sickness or any kind of absence, because e-resource cataloging is a demand all the time. We need to keep ourselves open for staff support, and don't forget to set up a regular monthly meeting with your team. All right. Keeping track of the progress is especially important when you are supervising an e-resource cataloging section that has multiple projects running at the same time. It is equally important to have your staff track their works and share that with you, which in turn not only help their productivity, but also make ease a time when you do your monthly or quarterly report on e-resource cataloging performance. And this is important because sometimes you can never imagine the complexity and the multiple, how many different things you are doing at the same time in your section. And it's very easy just you forget what you did, and you only end up with what we call the monthly statistic. So your staff hand you a kind of spreadsheet that's only numbers. That's not good enough. You need to let your staff kind of train them, or let them start using some kind of writing thing, what we call a narrative. And there are 4 parameters you want to pay attention, you want to emphasize. That is what I call the what, how many, how long, and carry-ons. So you need to know what project, no matter how big, how small, just name it. You know the name, and they need to know the name. Okay, write it down what you did, and then how many number records you created or loaded. Give a number, but be specific, and then how long it takes to complete the work. And also important, is there any carry-ons? Okay, some of the carry-ons you don't know. For example, serial solution is monthly ongoing, so there's no clear carry-on. But there are some things like a request. We receive free requests or any request from subject specialists or area study librarians, and we first just kind of convert that request into one big spreadsheet. And I will talk about what kind of tools we use to handle that, and then the staff can start working and marking, with cataloging date and all the questions, and if it's done, they mark it done. So you get a kind of very clear progress. And communication. We not only need to keep track of our teamwork, but also need to let those people we support know the status or progress of their requests. And this can be done at the same time, actually. So again, we will talk about when we're using tools. And we need to let our colleague also in other unit know who is responsible for what. For example, if I delegate, say, paid e-journal cataloging to one e-resource cataloger, I will introduce that cataloger to the people in acquisition who handle e-resource, paid e-resource, ordering, claiming, receiving, things like that. So let them have kind of like a bridge, kind of like a connection. So when things happen, of course they can always come to you, but they can also come to that specific person. Sometimes just requires tiny work out. So the thing is, sometimes we realized in the same building, though we are being working under the same roof, but we never talk to each other. So for e-resource cataloging, this is important. You need to know each other, not only in your team, in your department, but also you need to know who your requests, who are the question, and who the problem generates from, and you need to meet that person in person. Okay. Sometimes I have these things, and really frustrating is the acquisition unit staff just print out something and throw to my mailbox, and I get it, and I totally don't understand what they want me to do. And I even hard to know who put that in the mailbox. So these things need to be straight out right in the beginning. So we want to introduce each other and know why, what. So that's important. The next one I said, if necessary, you should form a working group or task force that involves key stakeholders and all staff working on these things. And you just need to move forward. Sometimes people like to stuck into attention to details. So attention to details or seeing the big picture. Never forget why we do this. Okay, the most important thing is to provide access of the selected e-resource to our users. It is important to emphasize accuracy in the record, but at the same time we need a balance. Okay, and I always say what we do is actually largely embodied in how we do it. So that's why streamlining project and keeping track of progress are very important. And again, they are related to how we do it. And here I'm trying to just make some code. All right, the first one is nothing is everlasting, but changes are sure to come. Who said that? Me. All right, here is the real code from a author, Eckhart Tolle, and I learned this from a director of our library on her recent blog post. This author says, some changes look negative on the surface, but you will soon realize that space is being created in your life for something to emerge. So what are the things emerging? Again, of course, we already moved from ACR2 to RDA environment, hopefully. But this is kind of ongoing, so we always, when we do e-resource cataloging, we always can get in both ACR2 records, and sometimes we create, sometimes we get a hybrid RDA or clean clear RDA. So this is something changing. Also, your system may be upgraded. We just recently upgraded last month from Millennium to Sierra. There's lots of issues, hiccups, freeze, create list not working. Okay, so things like that. And I'm also sometimes think, is the way of doing cataloging a e-resource is really efficient? What is the future? So maybe, here in Ohio State Library, library homepage, we actually have two things. One is a catalog, and one is what we call A to Z list, the online journal list. So how to make these two more effectively, combine these two is something I'm thinking for future. All right, we've been talking about tools and how to do things, and here are something I'd like to share how I do it. I found very benefit of using some online or class apps, including Wiki, Blog, Google Drive, and Box in managing e-resource cataloging. And these tools come very handy for documentation, providing guidelines available and accessible in real time. This is important because you are having a team, and sometimes you need to reach to their desktop, and you need to point to a certain guidelines right there. You cannot just say, oh yes, I have my guidelines bookmarked on my computer only. No, you need to have your staff and everyone to get it access anytime in any computer. So this kind of Google Drive, for example, I felt very benefit to do that, conduct that thing. Also, it is also good for keeping track of progress. It is very good for collaboration, good for communication, case-by-case level treatment, and it's also good for integrating resources like bookmark of online tools. Okay, you want to make it somewhere you can access from anywhere. And of course, it's also fostering learning. So specifically, Wiki is good for collaboration such as your task force activities, and also good for integrating guidelines for multiple projects. An example I'm trying to show here is a e-resource working group website, a wiki page I created and shared with colleagues. And also blog. Training, you can put training tutorials, guidelines for specific procedures and some level, and it can achieve some level of collaboration. Because wiki is also always a group of authors, but the blog is normally a single author, but you can invite people to share. So an example is, and blog is good, the unique thing is for blog is kind of arranged, all the posts is arranged chronologically. So the old blog posts will be buried. So you need to figure out some way to kind of like using tag or using some kind of navigation you have to provide it. But it's very good for making a specific guideline for just a specific procedure. For example, how to handle back files. And here I wrote a post, and you can update it once things change. And as you can see, it is revised by Julia. She's our EE resource ordering librarian in the acquisition department. So together we make this file for guideline for how to handling serial back file cataloging. And Google Drive is my favorite. It's good for both keeping track and communication. For example, when we processing, last year we had a large request and a backlog of free resource requests from many different subject specialists and area state librarian. So when I have my stuff processing, I'm trying to open this page and can't get stuck here. Okay, I hope everyone can start seeing it. Okay, so when I have my stuff processing them, I let them to kind of like track the title and also, more important, the requester's name. So, and the other details, they can, do whatever they like and just make things, and they will mark it done by putting a specific cataloging date. And they will also note any problem, for example, if they find this resource is broken link, and they will try next time, try several days. If nothing never work, we will tell the requester that this is not worth to put on the catalog. So once certain like a monthly, once this thing is done, we can easily convert this one into, we can publish into like a website and share with your requester so they can follow their name and see, oh, this request is being processed. So I found this very handy, instead of sending them to stop their inbox with another spreadsheet. And the box, recently we had just implement a box we called Buckeye box. It's kind of like a institutional box product. And you can also use Dropbox. And they are very good for sharing documentation without stuff your inbox. And it's very good for making collaboration and making sure you always access to the most recent version. And last but not least important is assessment. The e-resource cataloging, including loading performance, is for sure one of the highlighted spots on the cataloging department's quarterly report. And the e-resource cataloging and the metadata librarian is responsible to provide the report. And now again, we see the importance of keeping track of progress. And keeping track of progress should be tied to staff performance and assessment. I see this because I realize the importance of these things. So if we have been keeping track daily, weekly, monthly of the progress and the staff work, and you will be easily see patterns of things and you can make an adjustment. For example, these are for this year's Q1 to Q2 e-resource cataloging performance. The first chart shows here is things being cataloged in the 2 quarters. And you can see the number of these 2 quarters. The blue one is Q1, the red one is Q2. And the next chart showing here is things being loaded. And you can see a lot of e-books being loaded, and there's a sudden increase of e-book loading in second quarter. But the first quarter is relatively low. And I'm sorry we haven't made the third quarter available yet, but I think it will make more sense you see over 3 quarters. But I think 2 quarters is not enough to see the pattern, but it's good to see 3 or 4 quarters of the year. But unfortunately, we haven't made that happen yet. And you can also compare things being cataloged and things being loaded, and you can see the pattern. You can adjust your task. You can delegate work to people where there is a need. I think that is my what I'm trying to say today, and I think I'm going to open to questions.
Thank you, Sherab, for sharing the way Ohio State is managing and providing access to some e-resources. Let me get to some questions here. You mentioned the OhioLink Electronic Journal Center titles. Can you
Yes.
tell more about that? Is that subscriptions, freely available? What's in that?
Can you say that question again? Sorry.
You had a slide about the OhioLink EJC,
Oh,
eJournal
okay.
Center tiles.
Okay.
So what titles are in that? Is that a
Okay. Let me think if I can get back to the work. Okay. Is my screen still showing? I believe so. Okay. I think people are seeing these slides about EJC cataloging. EJC cataloging is the OhioLink Electronic Journal Center. It's a consortia within the Big Tens in the Midwest. Sorry, and no, actually it's Ohio. I'm sorry. I confused with another consortia network. So these are things that I'm not completely understanding how they make the EJC title available, but I believe when we get people, when they get something on EJC, they will inform us and then we catalog them. I hope this answers the question. I mean,
Right.
It is a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's see. We had a comment here that the description indicated you'd be talking more about loading records
Okay.
for e-resources. So can you cover some more information about that?
Sure. Loading. Okay. Loading resources. You need several things. Let me use a serial solution as an example. Let me open the guideline I created on the wiki. So largely this is still old because we haven't upgraded because we are now moved to Sierra, but you see the example are in Millennium, the screenshot. So so the procedure is like this. You will receive a notice from the vendor, the serial solution vendor tells you, okay, we have a package of file for you ready to load. And the package for serial solution is really it includes three types of things. First, a new journal we purchased, and they are just new record. You just load them. They just add it onto to your catalog. And then there also the larger number is actually updates. Some kind of change, like a URL changes or whatever. There's change. You need to overlay the record or replace the record, and the problem likely to happen in that area. My experience. And then there's the last one is some journal title we no longer own, so we have to delete them from the serial solution previous catalog. So basically, you will run a summary and you will see how many new, how many loaded, how many changed, and how many need to be deleted. Things like this. Oh, sorry. The run. This is a run. I hope this is big enough. This is a run support, and for this month, it's pretty old. 2011, December, we had how many new? Only 354 new, and there are 4,900, nearly 5,000 change. We need to change, overlay, make the update, and there are also 238 record we have to delete. So you know this, and then you just begin with your integrated library system using the some function. There are multiple ways to load the records. There's so many ways to load a record. You can actually load. I believe you can actually load one single record from connection, just like cataloging. You can, but for batch loading, like more than 20 or more than 100, you need to use your integrated library system. And there is a special thing called the data exchange. And as I can understand, I'm still kind of learning actually. As I can understand, you first get the data download to somewhere, and then you convert it into a MARC file. And convert the MARC file, and then you load it into your system. And there are several very important fields, like there is a 001 field. If you are doing a cooperative cataloging, it's normally used for OCLC number. So on your system, it will call OCLC number field. But here, the OCLC number field is no longer OCLC number. It is a number that to allow the overlay to happen. So there is a number if it, like for serial solution, it's called SSJ, and there's 8-digit or 10-digit number, and you need to make sure that the target record has that field, and this is where problem happen. Imagine you are loading 5,000 or even just 2,000 record. Seems me, you can't go one by one and check. Hey, is there a one? Well, there's a way. We can use mark record. We can use something called mark edit, and then search, do a search, like how many SSJ in this whole package. And if the number is less than the total, you know there's something going on, and you just have to painstakingly go through the whole package. And that's not my favorite way to do it, because I think it's that tedious. If it's less than 200, I would do that. If it's more than 1,000, I'm still trying. Okay, my way is to take the race and load it, and then let the system to tell you problem, because the system is really interesting. They will tell you, for example, I'm trying to find out a good example showing you the problem. They will tell you how many record is loaded and how many let's go down to change records. So here we go. So this is a pretty lucky clean clear load of the change record. If you can see, I hope people can see my screenshot clearly. As you can see, somewhere down to the message window, the output message window, the new records created should be 0, and because you want all the records to be overlaid, right? But this month I'm putting this one as a screenshot because I want to give people a clean, clear, good example. But there will be cases that you see some number put it under the created. Sorry, I should back up. We should always do this thing is called test loading. Before you load that, you do a test loading, and the test loading will tell you what number of record created and what number to be overlaid. And if there's something created or called insert, then I copy the entire load result to a Word file, and I do a search for all capitalized insert. You will figure out the way, and you will locate each insert, and then you use the title search, because this is test loading. There's no real bib number, no real bibliographic record number. So you need to search the title and go to your catalog, search title, and see how many records there. And likely there are 2 targets which confuse the loading, because the loading is looking for a specific target to overlay. So you need to kill one of them, and normally the one doesn't have a SSJ field number in the 001 field is the one to be killed, because for some reason they stuck there, didn't get updated. And always they also usually can have a bearing older date, and you can kill it, and then you do a test load again. Once you kill all the duplicate or some kind of problem target, then you will get a clean clear that says 0 new record created. I'm sorry, I've been talking too much. I hope I'm answering the question so far. Is this something?
So a lot of the vendor loads and serial solutions records are not high quality records. So what are you doing about those?
That is actually something I haven't had time to really delve into, but I know a possible solution would be using mark edit, a very powerful open resource program developed by a very good librarian, and we use that a lot. So I think it depends on how much volume. For in Ohio State, if monthly I have tons of work to do, and it's already approaching to the middle of the month, and I know I need to load them, and I don't want to delay. So at that time, I just go ahead and load them, because as I said in one of the slides, I said why we do this is more important is this. I know people will argue with me, okay, we want to provide a perfect bibliographic record. But unfortunately, the perfect bibliographic record era is gone. I want to say it seriously, it's gone. You want to provide access to your user. So what user really concerned? They concerned about title, range, and the real full text. Okay. So for me, as long as the title, the range, and the URL works, open full text, it's okay for now. we can bear that the record has some mistakes in other field, which I'm saying not the crucial field, but in other, even not mistake, but something just like a preference or a kind of like, for example, there are 260 field. It's maybe not good, but why? So what I'm saying is, yes, if we have time, then we will certainly go back and use MarkEdit to clean the record. But if it's 5,000 and you are the person to do it, I will do it first, because most important, we want to have this thing in our catalog so people can access. I hope this answers.
How do you handle large amounts of deletes? You mentioned the monthly loads. So when there's a large amount of deletes, how do you handle those?
It's actually handled by the same. We are using Millennium or Sierra. It's handled by the same integrated level system. You just want something called, again, we use data exchange, and it's just called process and delete. And I think you will get a target bibliography record, and you make a create list, and you send to the system, says delete this record. And system will warn you, are you sure? You say yes, and they are gone. That's how I do it. So it's really not a big problem for me.
Okay. It sounds like you use a lot of different staff. Are there different skills needed for electronic resource record processing and cataloging than with other things?
Oh yes, we actually the e-resource cataloging section is pretty newly formed, and we still haven't really made that transition complete. So right now I'm just taking care of this section aside my other responsibilities. So yes, we just hired 2 library 1 level. They are brand new. They're not only let alone electronic resource. They have never cataloged. Okay, how about that? They need to learn from beginning. But amazingly, if you gave them, guideline and training and let them learn, everyone can learn cataloging. And I learned these things from people previously done in what they call at one time there is a unit handling those things, but things change and this become more demanding. So now e-resource cataloging completely coming back to cataloging department. So we are now forming, and also I said fortunately we have one full-time staff who've been doing ebook cataloging. The thing is, yes, they will learn, and the experienced people will have their specific expertise. But the thing is, you need to somehow balance this thing. You don't want some people can only do ebook, because you will run out of time that there's something nobody else can do, then you run out into trouble. So you want to gradually, I'm trying to train my new staff gradually to handle until they can handle more than one kind of type of stuff.
Okay. You mentioned that you are assessing staff performance. Well, what kind of criteria are you using to assess what they do?
Okay. I said the three parameters. So 4 parameters. I would first just say, for example, if I delegate 2 type of e-resource cataloging project to one staff, and so he will start tracking, and he will create a shared. Right now we are using Google Doc. He or she will create a shared Google spreadsheet with me, share with me. But you don't need to look at every day. You just make sure she shares with you, and she will use that like a what we call something like a processing sheet. So she will start processing that. So, and then at a certain amount of time, like a monthly, you will see how many, or the project is limited. For example, there's only 3,000 records he created, and this project is done. So there will be the number of how many records that this staff been working on and finished, and then in how long, how many hours he spent. And then this will very helpful when you come down to, because you have multiple projects in your e-resource cataloging. So down to the month, you can create a kind of a chart to reflect the different project.
Okay. You showed the catalog, the cat-free e-spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
How many titles are on that spreadsheet? It seems like it's pretty time intensive to keep track of each title.
Yes, and it also not regular because like now, as you can see, there's a two chart I showed you at the end of the presentation. We recently had a kind of reduced number of e-resource requests. There are several reasons. First reason, as I said, we just the e-resource cataloging section is newly formed. So last year, during last summer, when we just started to handle it, we had a backlog. So I had some student workers help me. So at that time, we really had a lot of free e-resource requests to process. But it doesn't say, right now, even though you see the number drop, but doesn't say actually the work is gone. But so the librarians are still keep requesting. But because we remove the backlog, so now we come to a time of regular monthly, there's an average of 10 or 100 requests sent from the specialist. So let me see. I can share another more recent. I hope I can have my tools here. Oh, okay, here we go. Maybe I need to go to a browser. So for example, this old. Click on. There you go. Processing for each. Okay, here we go. Okay. On this spreadsheet, as you can see, I tied up the stuff and the project. For example, the first, if you can see my moving cursor, you see the first tab is Ian. So Ian was one of our e-resource cataloger, but unfortunately he moved, so we have to replace him. But anyway, the first book is Ian's work. So he processed how many, for some reason when it become a web page, I lost the number on the left side, so I don't know. There are quite a lot he processed. And they are processed in different months, so it's important to keep them the cataloging date. Of course, you can also do a Boolean search on your integrated library system, and you can so you can also compare this. I also do this not only the reason I have them to track the work is to track the content of the work, because if you do a Boolean on say on Sierra, you will get a number of only numbers, okay? But again, you can do something. For example, you want to put in a certain way called the cataloger's code field. For example, each cataloger has a unique code. For example, Ian is XX10. So if he catalog free resources, I will have him type XX10 space e-resource, free E. So when you do a search, you can specify how many free E Ian XX10 been done this month, okay? And you compare with this tracking, you will get the real number. And the second tab is a student worker, and he was very good, and he's gone now, of course. And so now you can see the type of their tracking of progress and their performance and your own access assessment. And also you can also then sort it by requester. For example, I have to send this report to a requester, our geology librarian, Mary Scott. So from this one, I combine these two, and then I sorted out all the things requested by Mary Scott, and I can send to her and say, okay, this money request you've been requested, been processed, and if you have any question, let us know. So you don't have. So sometimes they even duplicate the request. So this can also avoid that. I hope I answered your question.
Yes. We have another person, an attendee, who's a III user, and she's asking, do you find that after migrating to Sierra, loading and deletion have become much slower?
I actually, we observed that it's not necessarily slower. It's maybe there are multiple issues. For example, first we had a big issue on creating list. So because the creating list is problematic, so we stuck there, can't do anything until the create list fixed. I had a create list that's been showing processing forever. So I called the IT personnel, the IT colleague, and she come over to my computer and she play around, but she couldn't, and she had to call call is that Triple I? Yes, to call the company and tell them, hey, we have a kind of a list been processing hanging there. So this thing certainly is the system thing to slow you down. But in terms of really loading, I don't see much real difference if everything is working, it loads fast. But yes, I noticed there's slightly extended time of loading, but it's really subtle. There are so many matters. I still don't. We've only experienced with Sierra for about a month. We just had a party, celebrate, migrate to Sierra, yeah, but there's still a lot of problem. So I will give it a try for another couple months, and we can see. But so far, Sierra works. Yes, good news.
How did you at Ohio State decide to put all your e-resource records in your catalog? Was there a discussion about that?
You mean why we put e-resource on the catalog?
Yeah, you decided to catalog all your e-resources as opposed to accessing them through a different way.
Yeah, this is actually a question. Once if I am the real, right now I'm still kind of like acting e-resource metadata librarian, but I will certainly suggest that we get together and see what is a better way to. Yes, I'm not hung to the traditional quote-unquote traditional way of doing cataloging e-resource. I think there might be a way, because there are also issues related with things like your work at local, or what is your OPAC is. So are you going to use your OPAC or not? If you're going to use your OPAC, then you certainly need to put all the e-resource in your catalog, right? But I know there are some institutes do not use OPAC; they just have a to Z list. And if, again, we can play a lot on the A to Z list. We can sort. We can do something. But it's complicated. It's not a one-person decision, and yeah.
Okay. Well, we're getting low on time. Let me pause for a minute to see if anybody else has any questions.
Okay.
Here's one I have, is who gets your monthly reports, and have you gotten any feedback on the work you're doing?
Right now, the head of the department will get monthly report, of course, and then she will again compose a cataloging report and report to the assistant director of technical service. So the director of so we'll get feedback like this from this. So the assistant director will get feedback to the head department. The head department get feedback to me. So yes, I do get feedback from my supervisor, from my head of department.
Okay. Well, good. Well, thank you very much for all that information.
Yes.
Just a moment. We're changing screens here. Well, thank you, Sherab, for presenting that information.
You're welcome.
Let's see, and I want to tell everyone about upcoming webinars and continuing education opportunities we have. So you can see here's some of the ones we have coming up. So we have a whole series on MOOCs. Some that may be of interest to catalogers are October 23rd, the Electronic Resources, Workflows and Tools. And if you follow that link, you'll see other ones too. We also offer web courses. So these are not the 1-hour webinars, but these go 4 weeks or so. And you have a teacher, and it's interactive. So that's a way to learn more about different subjects. Also, we're always interested in finding out what other offerings you'd like. So you can write to me, or if you have an idea that you'd like to present, you can go ahead and submit a proposal. And just a thanks to Iping Chen Gaffey, who's our tech support today. Without the work of that committee, we wouldn't be able to provide these. You will be getting an email that has a copy of the slides, a recording, and an evaluation form. So please fill out that evaluation form because we use that to plan future activities. So I hope to see you in one of our web courses or an upcoming webinar. Thank you.